Welcome to Crazy Time News. We are in crazy times. So let's just see. Why is it crazy? Read, listen to the news, listen to the radio. Everything is telling you to hold on, sit tight, and shut up. And just be afraid. Well, here at Crazy Time News, we just try to take some of the BS out of what you hear, of what is really happening. Well, what's really happening is for you and I to kind of piece together. So let's start. First of all, we always hear the robots. Right now, South Korea has 10% of its workforce robotic. Robots. 10%. Can you imagine that? 10% of that tiny little country is already machines. And doing what? You have to investigate. Doing the usual. Well, the next thing, after we just digest 10% of the country's population being robotic, Lockheed Martin has the technology already ready, set, go to go to Mars. They can go to Mars tomorrow. They already have it. Also, too, there's this weird state of AI, aka machines with lots of data. Right now, these machines can visualize, of course, visualize. They take all the data, they process it, and they digitize what new parts are needed or what new robot is needed. And they test run it, all digitized. So when you say like, well, I want a machine that flies and cleans, they can produce something for you to clean and fly. So that's all right. In fact, Lockheed Martin in this omniverse, it's generally called that, they can do and make anything, so they say, that humans do right now. So in other words, there's a robot who will replace anything that anybody you do or your neighbor does, or anything a human can do, a robot can do at this point. So word of advice, when you get yourself a robot, make sure it's cute and fuzzy. It doesn't have like legs and arms and an opposable thumb. Because you never know, because they talk among themselves, they're programmed among themselves. It's all here. All the science fiction movies you've seen, it's here right now. And so the fact that robots can replace each and every one of us leads us to the war. The war talk. Now, a little bit, so right now we're like posing, bluffing, and we're also shooting off missiles. And we're talking about, and mines, and we're talking about nuclear war, nuclear weapons. And only about a small portion of the humanity has bomb shelters to protect you against World War III. So let's just backtrack a second. World War I started with, in the Baltics, right? The same area, the general area, which was right now, with Australia and I guess Yugoslavia. Used to be Yugoslavia. And then World War II started with Germany invading Poland. So right now we have the Russians, and of course there's like a 20-year span. So who would say that War I and War II, World War I, World War II, actually ended? Maybe they just built up their weaponry, just getting all excited. Maybe it takes just took 20 years for phase 2 to happen. Now we're in phase 3, World War III. As Ukraine and Russia go at it, mainly right now with nuclear weapons, Russia said if U.S., the Biden administration sends over nuclear weapons, or the Macron or the Schultz regimes send over nuclear weapons, that is it. And right now they're thinking of targeting Poland again. And the Polish people don't seem to really like, they seem to really like that agitation, because once again, they're harboring and teasing Russia. Russia is nothing to be sniffed at. I mean, Russia doesn't bluff. Russia has a lot of patience, but Russia's patience are over. And that's something that the charisma of the West doesn't like to address or feel. And why is that? Why is that? Maybe it's because so many things that we in the West we don't discuss. We don't discuss with any seriousness, or we just kind of like give give face to, just like throw bones here, throw bones there. But do we actually ever cover the issues? Like, for instance, like this month we were supposed to have in the U.S. UFOs, UAPs. Unidentified. We were supposed to discuss, are aliens coming, right? Or it's like quiet. What do we hear? Nothing. And the point is, like, check this out. We've had, like, everybody knew about 1952 when the orbs, these huge orbs were circling Washington, D.C., the White House. And that's common knowledge. And there's been also abductees and things like that in the 60s and 70s. But way before that, 130 years before that, in 1896 and 1897, there were quite a lot of sightings. In fact, sightings of, they just called them, they didn't have cameras then. They didn't even have like Zeppelins. They didn't have dirigibles. They had nothing flying in the sky to this extent. They had nothing like this. They were all different shapes of these flying objects, UFOs. And some of them would even land on people's property, and they were human. They weren't like insects. They weren't reptilian. They were nothing. They were humans. And they would calmly ask for water or provisions. Give me some water. Can I have a sandwich? Can I have a chicken leg? Whatever. The point is, they didn't. It's been minus from even discussion. So that's 130 years worth of sightings, and it was seen in 10 states, plus it was in the papers. It was seen by sheriffs, judges, all types of people, lawyers. I mean, it wasn't seen by hobos. In other words, I'm saying drunken hobos. It was, everyone saw these things, and they're still rendering. So look it up. It's called, those dates, 1896, 1897, sightings of airships, for lack of a better word, airships. So we have that, and that's, and then even go further back. If you want to go even further back, which you should, there is, remember Charlemagne? He had this great kingdom and stuff like that. He was like, the king of the times. Charlemagne had, he also saw a lot of, during his time, he also documented a lot of UFOs. In fact, they landed, and he said he classified them as outlaws because they were like coming out of their ships and spraying stuff, and every place they sprayed, the fields, the crops, the people, the towns died. And they were shrouded in black garments, black robes, which is where the, New Year's, you see Old Man Time and, the Grim Reaper. That's where it comes from. So, I mean, it's been happening forever. And we still have this big, oh, you must be crazy. You're out of your mind. That's, they have all this name calling for something that is very factual. And they just classify, oh, out of time, out of shape. If you find a relic, oh, out of time, out of place. I mean, they have these cute little words, which, I mean, we're tired as people, civilizations, we're tired of hearing all these cute little phrases. And it's like, we might be, they think we're back in Sesame Street, which we're not. In the meantime, our minds are being bored and rotted by people who are throwing out the media, for the most part. So, just to let you know that UFOs we've been gaslit about the fact for centuries, and we continue to be gaslit. And you're crazy if you think that there aren't any other intelligence besides yourself. You're really crazy, and you should be watched out, because they are everywhere, and they have built some marvelous structures. Like, do you actually think that the Egyptians made the pyramids, or this and this and that, or things just sprung up? Look around you and just think for a moment. Get out of that box that they keep on pushing and hammering us into. And just think about the fact that why can't they come clean? Why can't they come clean about intelligence other than See Spot Run or Sesame Street or stuff like that? Why can't they? What is the big thing? In fact, when you talk about even our intelligence, in the United States, for instance, we have this party called the MAGA party. And it's generally perceived to be a bunch of low IQ people going around going, give me some McDonald's or something like that. But wait a minute. It's very sophisticated. It's very sophisticated. The sophistication of the MAGA movement it blows your mind. It's put together. The MAGA movement is something to be studied and something to learn from. First of all, the MAGA movement stems from two prophecies, not just one. Constantly you read articles in which Trump is always going, my red hat. I'm the guy with the red hat. Well, televised 1972 in the 70s, and it was around before then too. But Hopi, the tribe, Hopi, H-O-P-I, it's a Southwest indigenous and Native American tribe. Group of people. And it's not the only one who has these prophecies. But for instance, we're talking about this one right now. And it's been dismissed because, we're a pan-European based country of which indigenous people, they just go a lot of brouhaha and they don't really say anything that you should pay attention to, perhaps. Anyway, beyond that, MAGA is the red hat. The red hat is a very powerful man, who comes to power, and the prophecy goes, he comes to power of a nation that has great scientific and technical development. There's a lot of conflict going on, and he, along with two associates, equally powerful men, we can just say they could be RFK and Elon Musk, they envision and direct warfare. We have the East and the West, two fights, two war fronts going at once. So they make advances, but not without cost. They make advancements. So let's just see, does Donald Trump see of himself, is he part of, let's do a reading on this MAGA, this red hat. Now, they come, this trio, and they usher in a new age at the expense of nearly destroying everything and everyone. And then to top it all off, while this destruction is going on, the skies become dark. And not dark with the sun doing a hoop or something. No, they become dark with ships, UFOs. The people that were here, the intelligence that were here come back because they see everything is a muck. Everything is an effing mess. That's why they come back. And so that's the Hopi, in essence. You can go, check it out, the Hopi, but the red hat element. Remember, MAGA with the red hat. So, he obviously is leaning and breathing off of this. Donald Trump is the MAGA, red hat, Hopi prophecy. So let's look upon this. We have it backwards. Let me just switch them this way. All right. Now, the first thing we have is the Eight of Cups. It's kind of like setting everything up and then just seeing how it goes, walking away. And so what if you find out I'm like the MAGA, let's say Donald Trump, the marketing team behind that. So what if you find out about that? I'm just taking the MAGA movement. I'm taking the Hopi red hat. And then again, here we have now playing twosome, the world. And presentation. Well, it looks like, yes, that he's just showing off to the world that as North America fulfills a Hopi, one of the indigenous tribes' prophecies, and waiting to see Why not? It sounds interesting. And I mean, why doesn't he have a purple hat? He has a red hat. And this is very firmly that the red hat person will be a leader who will issue the country into chaos and a new direction at the expense of a lot of destruction and visitation of aliens, the ones who were here before. Because remember, the Earth is almost 5 billion years old, and we only have permitted to only know 6,000 years worth of human history. Okay, now that's one prophecy. The second prophecy goes to the Messiah. Now this is a little bit, which is a little bit more complicated. This brings in, now we already have North America in a state of anguish and a state of chaos, right? So, and then we have this red hat. Now the next thing that we have is we have this, the Christian, or some people say that he's the Antichrist. I've heard that too. But however, we have the fact that in, let's say, the expanding country of, let's say, Israel is bent on revealing the Messiah until the coming of the Messiah. Now there's also saying the false Messiah, they say. And the fact of the matter is they have to make the Temple of Solomon. Now the Temple of Solomon is in Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is a very, very holy place of the Arabs, the Muslim people. Now, I just got listen to this. Now, the incoming Trump administration is very pro-Israel, which is very pro creating the atmosphere for the coming Messiah, and the Messiah will appear after they established and built the Temple of Solomon, which is right on a holy mosque, Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is a holy place for the Muslims. So this is all 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's all hold on a moment. Oh, back again. I have to go get something. So, now, we were talking about the MAGA movement having two prophecies. We already established the one with the red hat movement. Now, the Hopis and their prophecy, and how the current war cabinet, the current cabinet of Trump's incoming presidency is very pro-Israel, and they're very much into making the Temple of Solomon, which is right in the same space, the same area, the same land, the same dirt, the same soil that Scott Moss is on, which is very precious to the Muslim people. So we can just see where this is going. This is going into more and more and more chaos, of which there's people that think these things have to happen. So there's a philosophy that we're not going to have peace until these things are done, until you're not going to have the appearance of the Messiah. So you have this Messiah complex from the Middle East, and you have this Hopi red hat leader from the indigenous North America. So we have two strong prophecies going into the MAGA movement, right? So we have to see, how is this going to, it's not a simple bunch of like hee-haws. No way. It's extremely sophisticated. It's extremely 1 to step 25. And even though the press that comes out may be a little trite or a little humorous, the motive behind it is extremely calculating, extremely well thought of and organized. And there's money behind it, quite a lot of money. So let's just not like take this MAGA movement as we've been like McDonald's and being light about it. It's a very complex, and the people that are involved in it should be aware that they're being steered in a direction. It's a direction of conflict. It's a direction of course, we're going that way. We're going the way. It can't be stopped because you have 5 weeks rather, of or so of Biden's administration. I mean, the new president doesn't get installed in U.S. Until January 20th, the inauguration, and there's quite some time, a very tense time before then. So remember, the MAGA movement is comprised of 2 strong prophecies, 2 strong ones. Now, we all know, too, that in new cars, which is subject, that all new cars now, they have a black box. They have a black box in your car, that in your new car, if you buy one, that tells you how far to sit from each other. It also tells you if you go above the speed, you get a speeding ticket right away. So, I mean, it's totally controlled, like all these EVs and so forth and so on, having your own car. It's not exactly all it's cracked up to be. It's quite a lot of of control. I mean, you lose control. So we have to wonder too, with your car being told where to go and where not to go, is this going to be such a fun thing? And again, we have to ask ourselves, is the United States going to turn into a police station with all this war with Russia, the immigrants, and keep in mind too that like Trump has always been like a money magnet. When in the 90s he was like $1 billion in debt, when $1 billion was like lots of money. He got that money he got that money from about 75 banks. 75 banks under a Rothschild a broker. So I mean, there's a lot of history here that for such a man, remember who's leading the MAGA movement, who are the people involved in the MAGA movement, and are we really going to have, you have to think about what kind of times is it going to be crazier? Yes. Is it going to be freer? No. You have to think about this. Is it going to talk about like trans and different things like that? No, not constantly. No. So we really have to be prepared. And then we should think about just how are we going to operate in this crazy, crazy environment. It's very dystopic. With robots doing it could replace you in any length of time. I mean, I think some company just laid off 20,000 people right before Christmas. Some American company. And they're going to be robots. So you're going to have robots running around. Of course, the humans, drug use, marijuana, whatever. And then you have war talk, constant surveillance. So these are all the things that it's coming in, and we have to say, do we want to live in this kind of like society? And what are we going to do about it? That's basically all about the crazy times that we are living in. We have to make a choice, and we shall make a choice. And we can't let's remember that times are crazy. And once you realize they're crazy, then you can see the sanity. You can see a way to the sanity. When you don't realize that they're like nuts, that it's harder. So we look forward to like more things coming out, and don't be surprised. So thank you very much. And until the next time we talk about what is happening. But don't take MAGA lightly. Remember, look to the sky to see who's coming around. UFOs have been around for centuries. We've been visited, intelligence. It's like, matter of fact. And pay attention to this war talk, nuclear weapons. We have to say no. We don't want. But then again, be prepared, because the line has been drawn several times. The red line has been crossed too many times already, and the fact that the world wars have always been in the same area. And just be aware. Just be aware right now. All right. Thank you very much, and until the next time.